Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're tackling something that feels, well, both ancient and really urgent, actually. Finding some calm, maybe some clarity in, our modern lives.
Which are pretty chaotic, let's be honest.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're going to explore the wisdom of Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism.
Right.
But not like some dusty old lecture. We're thinking of them as practical tools,
Yeah.
tools for navigating all the digital noise, the constant demands.
Everything that's thrown at us every day. It's striking, isn't it, how these philosophies from centuries ago seem to speak directly to that feeling of overwhelm or anxiety.
Yeah, or even just feeling a bit lost, like what's the purpose?
Exactly. It's very common today.
Absolutely. And the great thing is, you don't need a philosophy degree to kind of tap into this stuff.
Not at all.
Our mission here in this deep dive is really to pull out the most important, the most actionable insights from these traditions for you listening.
Yeah, so you can actually start using them, like, right away.
Okay, so where do we start? Stoicism.
Let's begin there. Stoicism, it originated back in ancient Greece. And the core idea, it's pretty powerful. Focus your energy on what you can actually control.
Okay.
And crucially, learn to accept what you can.
Right, okay, let's unpack that a little. Because it sounds simple, but when you're, like, in the middle of something stressful, it's so easy to get worked up about things you have zero control over. What are some common hang-ups people have with this?
Well, a big one is thinking it means being passive, apathetic, like, oh, just don't care about anything outside your little bubble.
Yeah, like suppressing emotions or something.
Exactly. But that's not really it. It's more about recognizing the limits of your influence. You know, your judgments, your choices, how much effort you put in, that's your domain.
Yeah.
What other people think, external events, whether the train is late, less so, much less so.
Right. So it's about smart energy allocation, basically, not wasting it.
Precisely. Instead of fuming about that delayed flight, you focus on, okay, what can I do now? How can I use this time?
Can you give us a sort of modern example, like day-to-day life?
Sure. Imagine you get some tough feedback on a project at work.
Okay, yeah, happens.
The non-stoic reaction might be defensiveness, anger, maybe spiraling about whether it's fair or not.
Just in there.
Right. But a stoic approach would be more like, okay, understand the feedback first. What part of this is useful? What actions can I take to improve?
And then letting go of the rest, the resentment, the anxiety about it.
Exactly. Letting go of the need for it to have been different. Our source material actually had a great story on this.
Oh, yeah.
The author talked about this really intense project crunch, huge pressure. And they consciously decided to apply this. They focused only on breaking down the tasks, putting in the effort for each piece, and actively tried to detach from worrying about the final big outcome.
And how did that work out?
Really well, apparently. Not just less stress for them personally.
Which is huge in itself.
Totally. But also the work itself ended up being better quality.
Huh. That's interesting. So focusing on the process, not the prize, actually improved the prize.
Kind of, yeah. By focusing on your own actions, your contribution, and letting go of that desperate need for external validation or a specific result you can't guarantee, you free up mental energy. You perform better.
All right.
And this focus on your own agency, your internal world, it builds resilience, makes it easier to handle setbacks, the bumps in the road.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Stoicism. Let's shift gears a bit. Buddhism from ancient India.
Buddhism. And the core concept we're pulling out here is mindfulness.
Mindfulness. Okay, we hear that word a lot. What does it really mean in this context?
Well, fundamentally, mindfulness is about paying attention to the present moment.
Okay.
But doing it with a certain attitude, openness, curiosity, and crucially, without judgment.
Without judgment. That's the tricky part, isn't it?
It is. It takes practice. It's about developing this direct awareness of your thoughts, your feelings, physical sensations as they happen, moment by moment.
So it's not about, like, trying to achieve a totally blank mind. Because, honestly, that always feels impossible.
No, definitely not. That's a common misconception. It's more about observing what's already there.
Okay.
Thoughts will pop up, emotions will flow through. Mindfulness is like learning to watch them come and go without getting swept away or immediately slapping a label like good or bad on them.
Ah, okay. So less getting tangled up in stories about the thoughts.
Exactly. And you can practice it in really simple ways, like just focusing on the physical sensation of your breath going in and out.
Or like the source mentioned, mindfully drinking coffee.
Yeah. Just noticing the warmth, the smell, the taste, without scrolling on your phone at the same time. It sounds simple, but it anchors you.
So it's really about engaging more deeply with reality, not escaping it.
Precisely. It's about seeing things clearly as they are. The source mentioned a personal experiment, right? Just 5 minutes of mindful breathing a day.
Yeah, what happened with that?
The author found that even that small daily practice started to make a difference. They felt a bit more focused generally.
Okay.
And noticed they weren't reacting quite as intensely to things. Like the example was a friend canceling plans last minute.
Ah, yeah.
Right, the initial flicker of disappointment was still there, naturally, but because of the practice, they could sort of observe that feeling and let it pass more quickly instead of it snowballing into real frustration or resentment.
That's really powerful, creating that little bit of space between the trigger and the reaction.
Exactly. That space is where choice lies. And over time, how does this help with inner peace? Well, by consistently training your brain to come back to the present moment, you gradually weaken its habit of, say, endlessly ruminating about the past.
Guilty.
Or constantly worrying about the future.
Guilty.
We all are.
Yeah.
And those two things, past regrets, future anxieties, they're huge sources of stress. So being more rooted in the now fosters this sense of calm that isn't just dependent on everything going perfectly.
Right. You feel less like you're just being tossed around by life's ups and downs.
Exactly. Less at their mercy.
Okay, fascinating. Let's move on to our third philosophy. Taoism. Ancient China.
Taoism.
When I think Taoism, I often picture like flowing water. That idea of effortless movement, sort of yielding. Is that a good starting point?
That's a great image, actually. Very central. Taoism is really about living in harmony. Harmony with nature, harmony within yourself, finding balance.
Okay.
It emphasizes simplicity and this key idea of aligning with the natural rhythms of life rather than constantly fighting against them.
That idea of going with the flow.
Yeah.
It feels really countercultural today, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We live in this hyper-productive culture where busyness is often worn like a badge of honor.
Right. If you're not busy, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly. Taoism offers a radically different view. It reminds us that sometimes the most effective approach isn't pushing harder, but actually doing less or acting with less effort.
Is that the Wu Wei concept?
Yeah.
Effortless action?
Precisely. Wu Wei. It's not about being lazy. It's about being so in tune with the situation, with the Tao or the way of things, that your actions flow naturally and effectively, like a skilled craftsperson or athlete in the zone.
Okay.
The source material actually shared a personal story about this too. The author described this incredibly cluttered, demanding week. And instead of just trying to power through everything, they consciously applied some Taoist ideas. They prioritized only the truly essential tasks.
Okay, ruthless prioritizing.
Yeah, and intentionally left space for things to just happen. More spontaneity.
And wasn't there something about a meeting getting rescheduled?
Yes, a meeting got moved, which normally might cause frustration, right? Throws off the plan.
Totally.
But instead, they used that unexpected gap to just go for a walk, connect with nature a bit.
Ah.
And the feeling wasn't frustration. It was apparently this sense of like liberation, balance, just by surrendering to the change instead of resisting it.
That makes sense. Resisting probably would have just added stress.
Exactly. Embracing it opened up a moment of peace. And this points to a bigger Taoist teaching. Sometimes less really is more. It encourages us to simplify. Not just our schedules, but maybe our possessions, our ambitions, even our thinking. It guides towards a more sustainable way of living.
Healthier.
Okay, this is all fascinating. Now, if we're talking about putting ancient philosophy into practice, especially under pressure, we probably have to talk about Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, absolutely. The Roman emperor and committed Stoic philosopher. His life is just such a powerful case study.
Right, because he wasn't just thinking about the stuff in an ivory tower. He was, running an empire.
Exactly. Think about the context. He ruled during times of war, serious plagues, political instability, immense pressure.
Yeah.
And for him, Stoicism wasn't just some intellectual hobby. It seems like it was a practical toolkit. Well, necessity for keeping his clarity, his integrity, his sanity, probably.
And his book Meditations. It's still so widely read. It wasn't even meant for publication, right? It was like his personal journal. That's right. It's essentially his private reflections, him working through challenges, reminding himself of Stoic principles, trying to live virtuously amidst chaos. It gives us this incredible window into his mind.
Wow.
And there's that one quote from Meditations that just nails the Stoic outlook. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
That hits hard, especially knowing the kind of outside events he was dealing with.
Right. It really highlights that focusing internally isn't passive resignation. It's actually cultivating an active source of strength, resilience.
The source material mentioned the author being inspired by Aurelius to start journaling in the evenings. What was the focus there? Was it similar?
Very similar, yeah. Like Aurelius reflecting on his day. The journaling was about examining what happened, what was actually within my control, my choices, my reactions, my effort,
Okay.
and what was external, stuff I couldn't directly influence, and then reflecting, how did I respond? Could I have acted with more wisdom or patience?
Ah, so it's a kind of self-assessment, but through a Stoic lens.
Exactly. And doing that regularly apparently helped foster more self-awareness and a calmer, more grounded way of tackling problems the next day.
Okay, so we've explored Stoicism, Buddhism, Taoism. It's a powerful example in Marcus Aurelius. But let's bring it right back to today. How can people listening actually start, weaving these ideas into their own, probably very busy modern lives?
Yeah.
Like starting now.
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? Making that bridge. Because these ideas are timeless, but applying them takes conscious effort in our world.
Right.
So think about, say, daily work stress. We all have it.
Mm.
A Stoic lens might mean really shifting your focus onto the quality of your work, the effort you put in,
Okay.
and actively trying to care less about maybe office politics you can't control or constantly needing praise from your boss.
Or maybe in personal relationships, focusing on how I communicate, how I respond, instead of trying to control how someone else feels or acts.
Exactly that. It's about owning your side of the street. And then for Buddhist mindfulness, think about those moments, anxiety spikes. Maybe it's money worries or parenting stress.
Yeah.
Even just taking 3 conscious breaths. Noticing the feeling in your body. Where is it? What does it feel like? That can bring you back to the present and just kind of dial down the intensity a bit.
Creates that little gap again.
Right. And Taoist balance? Well, maybe that looks like actually scheduling time to unplug from your phone.
Ooh, radical.
It feels like it sometimes, doesn't it? Or consciously choosing to rest when you're exhausted instead of pushing through just because you feel you should be productive. Listening to your body's rhythm.
Okay, so these are practical things.
Yeah.
What about really small first steps? Like if someone wants to try one thing this week.
Great idea. Small steps are key. So drawing from the source. For Stoicism, maybe pick one recurring worry you have. Just one. And for today, practice noticing when it comes up, acknowledging it, and then deliberately focusing your energy on your response to the situation, not the outcome you can't control.
Okay, just one worry. Focus on response. Got it.
Buddhism.
For Buddhism, try a 5-minute mindfulness exercise. Maybe, like we said, with your morning coffee. No phone, no distractions. Just really notice the smell, the warmth, the taste, the texture. Just for 5 minutes, see what happens.
5 minutes. Doable. And Taoism.
For Taoism, maybe block out just 1 hour this week for, let's call it, flow time. No rigid plan. It could be a walk without a destination, doodling, listening to music, tinkering with a hobby.
Yeah.
Just allow yourself to follow your inclinations without pressure.
An hour of just being.
Pretty much. These little things, these micro practices, they seem small, but you do them consistently and they build up. They start to shift things over time.
Yeah, it really sounds like these ancient philosophies offer a kind of roadmap then, a way to navigate modern life with maybe more intention and less freaking out.
I think that's a good way to put it. Stoicism helps you master your inner reactions.
Right.
Buddhism grounds you in the present moment, cutting through the noise.
And Taoism encourages you to find that harmony, that flow with life's natural pace.
And the benefits could be pretty significant, like real changes.
Absolutely. The potential rewards are things like clearer thinking, better decision-making, definitely more emotional resilience when stuff gets tough.
Yeah.
And maybe a deeper sense of purpose or connection, even when things feel chaotic. The source definitely highlighted the author's own experiences. Less stress, better focus, richer relationships, real-world impact.
It really makes you think. For you listening, have you found yourself drawn to any of this? Maybe you already do some journaling or you meditate or you try to find those moments of quiet flow.
Yeah, we genuinely love to hear about your own experiments. What works for you? What feels resonant? Or maybe what challenges you've faced trying to bring these ideas into your life.
Definitely. Sharing those experiences helps everyone, creates a bit of community around this. And, if this has sparked your interest and you want to explore more about finding well-being today by looking to the past, definitely check out the other resources mentioned in our source material.
Yeah, there's always more to learn.
It's all about figuring out how to blend this timeless wisdom with the realities of our lives right now.
Exactly. It's really an ongoing journey, isn't it? This weaving together of ancient insights and modern living.
Yeah.
Finding what truly resonates for you and just continually tweaking your approach to build a life that feels, well, meaningful and balanced.